So today I'll talk about how to make your app collaborative in less than 20 minutes, and I really mean less than 20 minutes. So my name is Toma. I'm 23 years old. I've been active as a software developer for about 7 years now. I started off in a robotic chef company doing some simulators, mobile apps and stuff like that, and now I'm a software developer and developer advocate at Daytona, where I'm part of the core company team. And 2 lines about Daytona. Daytona is a startup that aims to empower developers to focus on what matters most, and that's actually developing instead of wasting time on environment and toolchain configuration. So the main topic of this talk is collaboration, and you probably have heard of some collaborative apps already, such as Notion, Google Workspaces, so think Docs, Sheets, Slides, Excel, whatever. Figma is now taking traction as one of the most prominent design tools that also integrates with some developer stuff, but collaboration is a big focus of Figma as well. And then we have Miro and ClickUp and apps like that. And these are some of the examples of these apps. So basically what they do in terms of collaboration, they allow you to seamlessly collaborate on documents, on designs, prototypes, whatever in real time with users, in a sense where you know what's going on, you know where each user is pointing to, is focused on, you know the list of users that are actively working on the document. And collaboration in these apps is really so successful because of its really seamless integration. So there's no configuration for the collaboration, you don't have to enter any session URLs, nothing like that. You just enter the application and you're good to go. But for example, for developers, how does collaboration look like? So for example, in our Daytona browser IDE, I know, okay, you can see. So in the browser IDE, you can see where each cursor is located at. You can collaborate inside each text document by writing code inside, and it's all synced in real time. There's no saving the document, reloading the page. It's all happening in real time. You can edit the exact same line of code in 2 exact same browser sessions. It will sync across in real time. Then, for example, you could enable collaborative terminals as well. So you can create a terminal that will sync across all of the clients. And that really enforces, for example, I don't know, interviews where you need to test someone's bash skills, or you need to work on the exact same terminal process. So for example, think developing an app and you need to start the application in development mode. It doesn't make sense to start it at 2 places at once. You just start it in one place and it's all synced in real time, as in this example I'm showing you right now. So the great thing is about this, it's easier than you think. So it doesn't really involve any, you don't really have to know the inner workings of these systems. You don't really have to be an expert on collaboration to include these collaboration features. And in less than 20 minutes, I'm going to show you how you can implement such features in a demo application. And the, let's say, forefront of this whole talk is a library called YJS. And if you have a GitHub, and I know you all have GitHubs, go to this repository and start it. This is by far the best collaboration library out there, by my opinion, of course. YJS has a huge ecosystem of supported protocols. So for example, WebSockets, WebRTC, peer-to-peer, and so on. But also it has seamless integrations with Monaco editors, Quill, and editors such as that, which I'll show inside the demo. And YJS really is the tool that allows you to not worry about all the collaboration specifics and the implementation. You just focus on, basically you focus on the front end and a bit of the server component as well. So YJS is based on CRDTs, and CRDTs are conflict-free replicated data types. It sounds complicated, but it's truly self-explanatory. So these are really data types that are replicated across all the connected clients. And the easiest way to, let's say, metaphor it is by passing a JavaScript object reference to all the clients connected. So all the clients modify the value of the reference, and all of the clients have the exact same value in the end. So basically, you pass the object along all of the connected users, and all of the connected users have the exact same state of the object. And these objects can be anything, any object, a pure object, an array, a text document, a string, map, XML object, anything you want. YJS supports it all. Another important concept that we'll cover in the demo as well is awareness. And awareness is an awesome feature of YJS, which allows you to have a so-called, let's say, state object for each client. And this state object exists while the user is connected. So, for example, I connect to Notion. I create an awareness object that says I'm in this document, my cursor is here, my name is Toma, and that object tells all the other clients that I'm Toma, my cursor is here, and I'm in this document. When I leave Notion, when I leave the workspace, the awareness object disappears, and all of the clients know that I'm no longer inside the session. And we'll use that to our advantage when we move on to the demo. And don't worry about all of these concepts. I'll go over them one at a time while we're actually developing the app. So, prayer to the demo gods, and we can start developing the application. And so the easiest thing for me would be to just create a to-do app in and open it in 2 browser clients and then collaborate on the to-do app. But I wanted to show you how easy it is to actually integrate collaboration features in existing applications such as your own. So I choose an open source headless CMS called Tina CMS. So then I basically forked it and added collaboration features inside the CMS, which of course are not production ready because they took 30 minutes to implement. But it just goes to show how simple it would be to add collaboration features on top of your existing apps. So we can move on to VS Code, and if you can see the screen, is the font large enough? A bit more? Yeah, sure. There's going to be a lot of code, so if it's not large enough, it's going to be a problem. Okay, we good. Okay, so I have a to-do list MD file here of all the stuff that needs to go into creating collaboration features inside this application. And I'm not going to code everything. I have it all in VS Code snippets. I'm just going to snip it around and explain the code as I go along. So the first thing I need to do is create a YJS server. So a YJS server is basically the server component that is tasked with distributing messages across all the clients. And I mentioned before that YJS supports different protocols such as WebSockets, WebRTC, peer-to-peer, and I chose to implement the Y WebSocket server, which basically means if we see the package JSON, it's the library called Y WebSocket. And that means that our server component will talk to all the clients via WebSockets. So if we go into the index.ts file, we can basically get the snippet for the Y WebSocket server. So it's YJS server. And now what's going on? Let's take a look. And as you can see, the server has 23 lines of code. And this is the entire server component. Nothing more goes into it. If you want to add authentication, of course, it's more, but this is completely unauthenticated. So if we see what's going on, probably the most important line is, is importing from the setup, the WS connection from the Y WebSocket utilities. And this is basically what sets up the server and tells how to communicate with the clients. And here we can see that we're just initiating a WebSocket server. We're telling it to respond OK for the upgrade and stuff like that. And then we are initiating the connection. And this is the whole server. We just need to run it. It's just a couple lines of code more. We tell it on which port to run, and that's it. So we're just going to serve this server because nothing more goes into it, and we can forget about it. So that's the first line of the cdjs.md file. And by the way, this code is on my GitHub in a branch. You can do whatever you want with it after the talk. So the second thing we need to do is we need to create a YJS provider inside the actual CMS code. And the CMS code is written in React, so the YJS provider is just a provider and a context within React. So if we go to the YJS provider, and let me just start the compilation so we don't have to wait for it later. So we'll just do watch and we'll do dev just so we're faster later. So, okay, so we now need to create the YJS provider. As I mentioned, it's just a base context and provider for React, nothing special as you'll see in a second. And the YJS provider will handle all of the logic of connecting to the server, to the WebSocket server, and then exposing functions and objects we need to manipulate the collaboration aspects of the application. So we can ignore all of this for now. Wait, I have a failure. Of course I do. One sec. Oh, right, okay. We'll compile later. So the thing is, okay, so the YJS provider, we have a couple of utilities such as user color, which defines the color of the user, which will be the exact same color across all the clients. The font color, the user data such as the username and color, and the cursor state, because as you'll see, we will track cursors of each user inside the application. And then the YJS provider, the most interesting part is getting the username. Here, if you have authentication in the application, you would get the username from your auth provider. Here, I'm just using it from local storage or prompting the user to get the username and just writing whatever you want. Then we have the YDoc, which I'll explain in a second, and the provider, as you can see, it's a WebSocket provider, which means connect via WebSocket to the WebSocket server. And the Y session is the identifier, so you can use, for example, different rooms for a collaboration session, but this is just hard-coded because I want all the users to be part of the same session. And now what's YDoc? Well, YDoc is basically a document that is the root of all of your collaboration features, such as collaborating on a document, on a text document, collaborating on a chat array, as you see here. So we have a Y chat array, which basically is created from the root document, and it's called chat. And what this means is that every single client which calls the array chat will get the exact same chat array. And if we go back to the example I said about before, that means that every client will have the exact same reference to the chat array and will be automatically synced, automatically updated, deleted, whatever. Then moving on, we have getting some random colors, and then we have a cursor map, which I'll talk about in a second. And the most important part is, of course, the useEffect hook, which fires on mounting the component, which connects the provider to the server and updates the awareness field. So this is where awareness comes into play, because as you can see here, we update the user value to our username and color. And what this means is that every single connected client will know that my user object contains my username and my color, and every client will see it exactly the same. You can ignore this very suspicious code. It's just a workaround for some stuff later. And then, of course, we dismount the component and destroy the awareness and disconnect, and that's it. This in and of itself does nothing. The interesting part is when we handle cursor updates for each user. So, for example, I have a snippet called CDJS1, not the Emmet one. Give me a snippet. Just a sec. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Okay, I guess I can talk while waiting for the, okay. So it's CDJS1. And as you can see, it's a chunky function, but it does very little. I'll just move this so you can see a bigger portion of it. So it's just handling the awareness update by seeing first which clients are removed. As I mentioned, when a client is removed, its awareness is destroyed, and then we just destroy the cursor that's rendered inside the application. Then we can handle the cursor update by just creating a cursor and moving it to the location of the client. And we do that for each client. So we go over the awareness updates and then update all of the cursors inside our application. And this will make much more sense once I actually run the application. Then what we need to do is subscribe to the awareness update. So we do provider awareness. On update, and we have Copilot to help us along, and we handle the awareness update with that function. And the other part of it is actually subscribing to the window location update. So it's CDJS2. So we need to actually subscribe to the window cursor update to propagate the X and Y coordinates over the network to all of the clients. And this all might seem complicated because I'm talking so much, but you'll see in a second that it's actually very, very simple. So updating your cursor location is exactly like 7 lines of code, including enters. So these 7 lines of code basically tell each client where your cursor is located at and where they need to move your cursor object. And of course, last thing left to do, no memory leaks, so we need to remove the event listener and do provider awareness off update and handle awareness update. And that's basically it. And now I'll check what's wrong with the code to compile it, because I think it's use YJS users. I think I left an import somewhere to block the, so it's blocking compilation. One sec. Yep, it's here. So let's just do this. And let's just do this because I left this by accident. And we'll get to this code in a second. Come on. What's going on? Yeah, my Mac is giving up on me. Okay, let's comment this out and comment it out from here, and we're done. Okay, apologies for the delay. So we just watched the application when we started in dev mode, and we'll see in a second that I'll mock having two clients by just opening two browser windows, which are basically as you would open, for example, I would open my client session and you would open yours. It's exactly the same. So let's open up the actual page. So it's just some test page that I'm editing inside the CMS. And I'll open it twice. So I'll do this and I'll do this side by side. And while next is developing, one sec. While next is compiling, which will take a second, I want to talk about another thing, and that's not going overboard. So it's very important that these collaboration features are just a helper to your users. You don't have to spam them with collaboration. Don't say collaboration is the ultimate efficiency booster, because it's not. You just need to use it for some focused, for example, pair coding, so for some focused collaborating on articles and stuff like that. Just don't overdo it. Okay, so now the CMS is loading, and I think it's gonna be a second, and we should be fine. And as you'll see, as you'll see in a second, I already have a username in the local storage, so it's not gonna ask me for it. It's just gonna enter me and track the cursors right out of the box. So, one more thing. I'm not following my CDJS MD file, so apologies for that. So we created the provider, which is fine, but we need to wrap the get CMS, or we basically need to wrap the application with the provider, which will initiate the collaboration session. So let's just uncomment this. Without this of course wouldn't work. So let's uncomment all of this. And where is it? YJS provider, it's here. Let's do it. Okay. Building for production, even though this is far from production. And as you'll see from the front end, it's nowhere near production, because I really wanted to keep it low level and kind of ugly, because it really took me 30 minutes to set this whole thing up. So, building for production. Why is this still loading? Just give me a sec. I promise it will go okay. That's not it. Wait, I lost one of the terminals. One sec. Is it actually active? I don't think it is. I lost one terminal. So, one sec. Sorry about this. I need to start the development server. Don't know how it got killed. So experimental, Tina, and then PMP dev. Okay, should be fine now. Apologies for the long wait times. Indexing, yep, okay. Let's just refresh this. And of course it failed. And now we'll just refresh it and we should be good. So Tina CMS is just it's a really lightweight headless CMS. It uses GraphQL in the backend to handle all the logic. And as you saw from the code I did, most of the collaboration features are done on the front end and written in React and in Next, so it should be familiar to a lot of you. Okay, so we are good to go, I think. Yep, okay. So, as you see, the cursor can be anything. In this case, it's a Space Invader, because why not? Why should it be just a cursor? As you can see, I have two exact same users with the exact same name because it's in local storage, so I'm called mate twice. But the color is different. The color is different because these are physically two different users that initiate with their own colors. So for example, if I refresh the page here, you can see that the cursor is gone because the awareness state is gone. And then I'm rendered back with a different color. And this is the basis basically of our collaboration features. So what I'll do next is I'll add some user avatars in the top because why not? So that's what was wrong before, and I'll just, let me just go back to the CDJS doc. So what we need to do to get the user avatars rendered inside, we need to create a use YJS hook, use YJS users hook, and render the avatars, and that's it. So as you can see, I'm writing just regular React code. There's nothing really special going on. So the hooks will be just normal React hooks. Apologies, I'm in the wrong, actually, okay, in the wrong folder. So as you'll see, these are just React hooks which expose some different functions that are needed for collaboration. In this case, it's the context. Then we need use YJS users, which is use YJS users. Okay, so this is the interesting part. The use YJS users is a simple hook that basically handles awareness updates and lets us know which users are available inside the application. And this is just a mapping between the client ID and the user data, which is the username and the color. And now what we can do is we can go to the file which needs to render the user avatars. So fail to open link, the target is not missing VS Code. We can uncomment the use YJS avatars, and then, okay, that should be good. Yep, and now it's gonna recompile. And as you'll see in a second when this reloads, we'll get the user avatars. And these user avatars are, again, a couple lines of code that tell us which users are inside YJS and where they need to be rendered. Just a sec while this builds. Okay, it's gonna recompile, it's gonna enter edit mode, and as you'll see in a second, or you won't, because it's still compiling the other version, apologies. Yeah, this is the, let's say, drawback of having an entire CMS as a demo and not just a to-do app, but I still think it's better than a to-do app. So now it should recompile and go into edit mode. And as you can see here, we have user avatars implemented. And now you can do all sorts of fancy front-end stuff. You can do on hover, see where the user is located. You can track the cursor. You can see what's his username, status, whatever. This is just the base implementation of user avatars. And now let's say probably the most interesting part of it is if we were to use the CMS in a collaborative way, we of course need to be able to collaborate on documents. So, for example, if I write hello world here, you can see that on the other screen or on the other client, it's not propagated. I would need to save this file as a draft. I would need to reload it on the other client for us to collaborate, and that's in no way collaboration. You can't say that your app has collaboration if anyone has to refresh the page. Just don't do it. Collaboration needs to be in real time, and we will make this real time in, I think, 7 lines of code. So, going back to our CDJS doc, we did this, and we need to do the Monaco binding. So let's enter this file. And this file is basically just don't bother with the code. I have a CDJS comment here. So I will do the Monaco YJS snippet. And as you'll see, it's literally, it's 63 to, it's like 9 or 11 lines of code including enters. And here you can see the shenanigans from the window dot something. I did that because this is a whole separate package, so to make my life easier. And what I do here is I create a text document called Monaco, and that means that every client that creates this object called Monaco will have the exact same reference, will have a synced state. And I create a binding, which is the Monaco binding, which again YJS supports and does all the heavy lifting for you. So you just install it as a package, do the 4 lines of code, and you're done. So I'll just refresh, save this, it's built. I need to refresh because there's no hot reload on this page. And as you'll see in a second, we will have solved the real-time collaboration aspect of this Tina CMS document. All it took was 9 lines of code to get these 2 editors to sync in real time and nothing more. So once this loads, give it just a second. Okay. Are you all right? Oh, apologies. Yeah, it crashed because I didn't import it, or I did, but what's wrong? Apologies. So when in doubt, just refresh. I think it should be fine. So let's talk about YJS Monaco binding while I wait. So what does the binding actually do? The binding basically connects to the exact same provider we have before, so to the exact same server, component. And then you get the text document in, and then it handles all the stuff in between. So let's check if we're fine. So we're loading the exact same editor in 2 different clients, which are physical 2 different clients. And then once it loads, hello world. This is real-time collaboration. There's no refreshing, there's no saving drafts, 9 lines of code, and we created a CMS which is natively collaborative. This CMS now doesn't have to do a lot of content management to, let's say, push a document collaboratively or do an interview, for example. You can use this to interview people and then work side by side with exact same documents. Moving on, wouldn't it be cool to, for example, track the cursor of each user? So I should know that I'm hovering this and he's hovering that. So let's do the Monaco decoration rules. I'll save it and refresh and won't go too much into it because you'll see what it does in a second. So I'll just refresh. Okay, now we can go back to the Monaco editor, and you'll see a cool feature as well in a second. So, as you notice, I have the state of the document from before. Why is that? That's because YJS can also be used as a sort of storage for offline as well, because when you create YJS references, they are saved in the server, and when you get them back again, when you reload the page, they are instantly returned to you as the state was before. And now, if you see, I can hover the page and I can see where all the clients are. So I can say I'm here, and you can see the cursor tracked, but I'm here. And that's really cool because, again, it gives you more context on what each person is doing in a non-intrusive way. Again, it's just a couple colors. You can see where the cursor is of each person, and that's it. And this is basically the forefront of collaborative editing, of collaboration on text documents and applications such as CMSs. And one last thing left to do, because why not? We can add chat to Tina CMS. And all we need to do is create a YJS chat hook and add the chat window into the navigation bar. And again, as you'll see in a second, it's going to be very ugly. But it's just base CSS blue-red color, but it will serve its purpose. So we create the use YJS chat hook. Which is just, which again just has some observers that let you know which chat messages are being updated and which are deleted, and you just you just pass it as an array to React. And the last thing left to do is include a chat window here. So we can uncomment this. I'll show you what the chat does in a second. So it's chat window, and it's chat window over here, chat window. Yep, okay, let's compile it again. So what does the chat window do? It's probably the dumbest React component yet. It's just an array of messages being rendered. Just a second for it to scroll, okay. So it's messages that are from the use.yjs client, which are just an array, any array, but you don't know that it's being collaborated on. You map it with some divs. Those are the messages, and you have an input, which basically is to input the text message, and that's it. So if we were to reload this, and this is the last thing I'm going to talk about. Yep, it's going to reload. And on the sidebar, we can see the chat, the very pretty production-ready chat window. So I can say I'm here, and this is the chat message. So hello, world. I'm collaborating on a CMS, whatever. And then, for example, in this client, I can do clear the messages, which clears them, or say, for example, first message, and then reload the page, which will, again, get the exact same state from before, and the chat will be reloaded, but the messages are there. So basically, those are the collaboration features. You can find this repository on my GitHub. We can talk about collaboration after the conference. I can help you with making your apps collaborative. And it's really a fun experience, and it just makes your app that much better and have that wow factor and make it much more efficient. So thank you all for listening to this talk.